What's up, jerks?
Manning retired.
Sean.
Both.
I like kickers.
Put him on the board. Hausch Mazzoli. Got it. Championship.
What is up, jerks? This is Joel Jarvie. You're usually listening to Jason Jarvie right now, but no, this is the big brother, Joel Jarvie, spending some time with some of my favorite guys to talk a little bit of fantasy. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Who are we here with?
And
today?
I'm Phil the Thrilla Pomani, filling in again.
The Thrilla, I love it.
Doc, always here listening, enjoying the fantasy football talk. Love to hear everything that's going on. What's been going on with your guys' leagues? Where are you guys sitting in your favorite leagues?
I'm hurting right now, guys. I'm feeling the pain. You know, I put some faith in some guys that maybe I shouldn't have. But unfortunately, it's so early in the fantasy season. What are you going to do? You're going to cut bait already in week 3?
No, you can't. It's tough when are you 0-2 then or what?
Well, so I've 3 teams, 3 different leagues. Last week I went 0-3. That was tough. In week 1 I went 2-1.
Okay.
But my main league, because everyone's got the main league.
Yeah, there's
it's
always
your favorite
the one,
kid, right? You know,
Yeah.
you don't have a favorite kid, but you got a favorite kid.
Yeah, you just don't say it.
All right. In my main league, it's the DeMarco Murray nightmare, and it's also we started a 2 quarterback thing too this year. It's fun, but Sam Bradford is just killing me. The Eagles are killing me right now.
Their line, we were talking about this before we got on the air, but the offensive line situations in a lot of these higher markets has just been, it's really puzzling, to be honest with you. So I went 3-1. I'm in 4 leagues, so I went 3-1 last week. I got a lot of help on Sunday and Monday night, so I can't complain. But
So that's a good thing. So what was your last week? What was your smartest move as a fantasy owner?
what my smartest move was, I started David Johnson in my flex, and I got the bonus of him. We get return touchdowns, so it's like I got him and Jarvis Landry on one team. So if they like Jarvis had that return touchdown in week 1, which was a bonus. So anytime you catch a return touchdown, plus the way that backfield looks, Ellington's probably just going to be. He can't stay healthy for whatever reason. No. There's always something going on with him. And then Chris Johnson's just, he's not C2K anymore. So
no, he's burned me so many times.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I've seen a lot of people picking him up, but the way this kid looks, just especially with him returning punts, and now he's doing, if they start increasing his workload, I mean, he had the 55-yarder for a touchdown in week 1. So I expect him to start actually being moved up into probably like a tier 2 sort of running back situation sooner than later. So
yeah, that'd be nice. You know, I love those guys that you can go out there and you can get return yards too, man. That's huge. It's so big, but it's also really hard to nail those guys. So props to you for getting David Johnson, man.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this too. You got to be a little lucky. You got to catch a break here and there. Like Deshaun going out week 1 sort of killed me, or else I'd be 2-0 in my main league. But I went up against Eddie Lacy, Aaron Rodgers, and James Jones on Sunday night, and Lacy went out super early.
Yep.
And then I had to replace Deshaun. I had Dante Moncrief in, and because Ty was questionable the whole week, and Dante went like bonkers, so ended up sneaking out a win. So
yeah, Colts are 0-2 too, so that's good. I'm glad Dante Moncrief worked out for you, man.
So what's going on with the? So you got Bradford and DeMarco on one team?
Yeah. I've also put I talked a lot before the season about Frank Gore, and I'm one of those guys that unfortunately I do fall in love with guys, and I
everybody does that though. I mean,
yeah, I really felt like the Eagles were going to be really solid this year, and really thought that Frank Gore, I'm pretty sure. So I used to be a big Frank Gore guy, and I'm fairly certain the last time I drafted him on the 49ers, halfway through the season, I said, I will never touch Frank Gore again. Ever. I'm done with him. And then this season, he put on that horseshoe logo and Andrew Luck there. It's so sexy. And it's like, I couldn't lay off it. And I took him, and he's been hurting me. So I've also got my stud right now is Gronk. So I've just wasted. Yeah. I've wasted 2 amazing
performance. Yeah.
Just totally boneheaded.
But you know what? I don't even think it's that. I think it's like I said, the lines. You look at Indy's offensive line, you look at Philly's offensive line, our Lions, their offensive line play has been just abysmal. I mean, Stafford's all banged up. What are these teams going to do? You look at the good lines, look at Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell owners should be just absolutely ecstatic that he's coming back. The way D'Angelo's performed behind that line, I was telling John before the show, I'm expecting 150 yards from scrimmage and like at least a touchdown, probably 2 touchdowns every game the rest of the year. He's like a lock to start and perform. He's going to get you probably 20 to 30 points a game every week. I mean, it's just scary how well their line's blocking, what Ben's able to do. Their defense isn't like stellar, but they played pretty good against San Francisco last week. So
with Le'Veon coming back, do you think then that Antonio takes a fantasy hit at all?
No, not really, because they can, like, with the line playing so well, they're going to be able to do so much. Everybody's still going to get their points. I was telling Paco, Heath Miller should be able to put up some decent numbers for a tight end. I mean, he's not going to be an elite one, but he could still sneak you a touchdown, maybe a 2. The way they've been throwing the 2-point conversion around, he could get you some points here and there, but that looks like they're just going to be all offense. So it's going to be like if you own any Steeler, you should be really, really happy with yourself right now.
Heath Miller, he was still on the team when Terry Bradshaw was there, right?
Yeah. It seems like it, man. He's been around for like 13 years now?
Something like that.
It's crazy, man.
But there's something to be said for guys in their security blankets, and he's clearly Ben's security blanket. So
now, if you got D'Angelo Williams on your team and he's done some great things the first couple of weeks, now what do you do? Is he a running back too? Do you look to potentially trade him? What do you do with a guy like that who started and now is going to potentially lose his job to the starter who's coming back? What do you do?
It depends. For me personally, if I'm in a flex league with him, I'd be comfortable flexing him out because he's still going to come in and spell him from time to time. But I mean, you're not going to get nobody's logically going to make a trade for him. You're not going to get any value there. So just sort of sit on him, wait and see what you can do. I don't know what you would do with him, Joel.
So if you were a Bell owner and you have D'Angelo and you've been riding him these first 2 weeks, I would hold on to him. He's a handcuff at the end of the day. And chances are you probably took Le'Veon Bell pretty high in the first round anyway. You've got to have insurance for those guys. I would not get rid of D'Angelo Williams until it became a matter of like a roster need.
Yeah.
And then he's probably a guy that just rides my pine all year long, just as a insurance. Hopefully your team's deep enough that you can do that. If not, I don't know that I would flex him. I prefer when I'm flexing players, I want diversity on the team. I want like as many different games as possible. To try to maximize the outcome. But I can definitely, if there's few teams where you can make an argument for playing both backs at one time, Pittsburgh's one of them.
You know, I mean, thinking about 2-back situation with Philly, I really thought the way the situation in Philly worked out that DeMarco and Darren Sproles were going to be like a sort of a dynamite combo, man. You get Sproles in some open space, he catches a little screen pass, bubble screen, whatever, takes it to the house. DeMarco was just going to be DeMarco, I thought, but man, that line's so brutal right now. It's just, I'm really, really underwhelmed with their performance. I've got DeMarco in like 2 or 3 of my leagues, so I'm still performing. My team's performing well, but with him, it's like I'm benching him this week. I mean, I don't think there's any. It's unfortunate, but I don't know that I've got to look for a better option. I just don't think he's a good option right now, especially since they're playing the Jets. And the Jets put on a freaking clinic on Monday night.
Yeah, their defense looks scary right now.
I mean, Revis is old as hell, and he still had 3 turnovers. I mean, so
Revis got juked out of his shoes a couple times too. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. But I mean, you know what? Even with all that, he still had a hell of a game. He had the 2 picks in the fumble recovery. I mean, so Luck killed. I'm in a league with John, and it's me, John, and then some of my family members, and like I kept Luck as my keeper. Now I watched near the end of the season, he was having really huge issues with ball control. He was making a lot of bad plays, turning the ball over, and it seems to have progressed into this year. So I don't know. I think that's really going to end up costing me in that league. I think that league's sort of like I'm 0-2, and there's no upside right now.
Yeah. See, the thing with Luck though is you got to figure he's still got to play Houston, Jacksonville, and Tennessee twice.
Yeah,
those are 8 games that it's not even close to the defenses that they've played in week 1 and week 2. If there's any guy that I would still hang my hat on, it's Luck. Ride that guy out. He'll be fine for you.
Him or Cam this week though.
Luck. There's
really
every week.
Okay. Now I see with the situation in New Orleans, I'm thinking about starting Cam just because they're all wondering if like Breeze is even. Everybody's still wondering if Breeze is even going to play. So, and unfortunately, I'm not too sold right now that their offensive line can keep him from, because he's been put in some bad situations because of the way his line's playing. So he's making like, some of these throws under pressure that he doesn't need to be, coughing up the ball, fumble here or there. It's like, I don't know.
There's few guys in fantasy, I feel like, that you plug in and then you can just shut your eyes and.
Well, Rodgers.
Right. Rodgers, Luck, Marshawn Lynch,
Brady, Gronk.
Yeah. Those are guys that you win and you lose and you're okay with it.
Yeah.
You know? Like if you're going to start Luck and Luck has a crap game, but Cam on your bench goes crazy, at the end of the day, you can't really blame you for starting Luck. Like, you took him to play and you took him to win games for you. If he doesn't do it, he doesn't do it.
All right, let's see what we got. The NFL's got their old stardom sit-em at the quarterback here, and there's a couple of questionable ones. We're gonna bounce these back and forth, see what's going on. They got Russell Wilson versus Chicago.
You start him, right?
Yeah. No. I mean, I think that's like a no-brainer. Like the way the situation in Chicago, Cutler's out, their defense is terrible. They've given up 70, 80 points the first two games.
Stupid.
Yeah, something ridiculous. So, like you said, that seems like a no-brainer. Now, everybody's been down on Cam because, Cam had a pretty good week last week, but we were just talking about him. They got Cam as a stardom against the Saints. Carson Palmer, who I got as like my backup in my main league, has been on fire, and they've got him on the stardom league. So I'm like, yes, I need one of those right now. So
put him out there. Who are they playing this year?
They're playing San Francisco. So, and especially after what happened to San Fran at Pittsburgh, I think they're at home against them too. So
now I was the beneficiary of a great game by Carson Palmer. Larry Fitzgerald made an appearance.
Oh, man.
One of his old vintage games. I've had Larry Fitzgerald in a couple leagues now the last couple years, and he started off doing well, has tapered off each of the last couple years, and he ended up on my bench each of the last 2 years when the playoffs came because he was so inconsistent. Yep. And then they've dealt with injuries. You think Larry Fitzgerald's a guy that can keep this up week after week?
I say no. I don't think he can. I think that the Cardinals they're a good team. I'd love to have Carson Palmer, on my team and start him. I can't see Fitzgerald being consistent again. He's not that part of his career anymore.
And that's the thing. They've got Michael Floyd, and he's bound to work his way back into the lineup. I know he's been dealing with that hand injury, but John Brown's a deep threat. But I mean, Carson's sort of like, you had him last year, you said, right, John? Mm-hmm. I think the reason that he had started out so well is the first 5 games Carson was under center, so he's probably looking to throw him the ball. So I don't know. I'd have to agree with you in the fact that he's a little older, but like you said, security blanket. He might be Carson's security blanket. I mean, just because he's a veteran, he's got some experience, so you could pretty much go either way with it. I don't know what else you got a receiver that you can
I'm loving life. My team was put together very nicely. I got Fitzgerald, Vincent Jackson, Antonio Brown, and I'm on the bench, Marcus Colston, Doug Baldwin, who had a good game last week. So potentially you think I could maybe swap out Larry Fitzgerald this week against San Francisco, maybe put in a Doug Baldwin versus Chicago?
No. Well,
who did you said Vincent Jackson too, right?
Yep, I have Vincent Jackson.
Who are the Tampa Bay? Who are the Buccaneers playing this year?
Tampa Bay's playing the Texans, so that's a.
You got to play. I'm going to play them. I'm going to play Antonio Brown, Vincent Jackson, no matter what. I could sit Larry Fitzgerald and put in Colston at Carolina.
No, hell no.
Or, I doubt. I don't play him. He sits on my bench. No, or Doug Baldwin or Ruben Randall tonight.
No, Ruben Randall. I mean, look, the Giants just cut Preston Parker because he's been dropping balls, and what's Ruben Randall been doing? Dropping balls. So right. I mean, I don't trust. There's only one guy you want to throw the ball to in New York right now. That's
Odell.
Oh yeah,
I'm loving life in that league. I'm 2-0. I've dropped in 125 plus. I'm like, damn, I got a good team.
Yeah, and you didn't even draft your team. How? I mean, is that not a?
Does it diminish your pride, or you don't care?
No, I do not care because I'm the owner of the team.
Shameful.
Now is it something?
Shameful. It's shameful. It is absolutely shameful. If you play fantasy football and you let somebody else draft your team, why are you even bothering partaking in this great institution is the question I ask you.
Yes. The reason is I'm managing the team, and there are situations when that are out of your control. I was not able to draft the team because the draft was set for 8:30, and I'm working, and I'm doing what you guys see, 5 podcasts a week, and I'm doing everything. I wasn't able to do it, and I know there's guys that love drafting, and I know guys that are good. They're good. And what'd you say? You've been through more trees less shady than me.
I've walked through forest less shady than you, is what I said.
I see no problem with it. I mean, I could put co-general manager, whatever. I want to win, and I'm managing the team, and so far so good. I've done it now twice. I had 2 different people draft my teams for me, and I think I might employ it going
Didn't
forward.
Your brother help him out in this situation?
Yeah.
Jason,
how could you do that? I mean, I understand from the drafting perspective. I love to draft. It's probably my favorite part of the whole situation.
Oh, absolutely.
But
so you're saying etiquette-wise, I should have just auto-drafted it?
Oh,
that's
even worse, right?
That's even worse. Yeah, that's
worse.
even worse.
So I did a good thing then.
So I'm fine. I'm fine with you having other people draft your team. Just know that when you win, I'm going to be the first one to put an asterisk near your name. So just know that.
Okay, that's fine. All money's green and it spends the same. So whoever won it, I might have. What's etiquette? If I do win the league and it's a money league, do you break off the guy who drafted the team, or do you kind of, if he doesn't bring it up, let it ride and just keep all the money?
Well, you're shady, so you're going to keep the money to yourself. I mean, we're just gonna get that out there.
I think if Jason was here, I know what he would probably say about it. He'd probably say something like that drop that we played earlier.
Oh, okay, I got you.
You mean this one?
You're a dick.
Yeah, that's probably what he'd say.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. So we got through some of the star. We're not going to go through all of them. I mean, there's some no-brainers on there, but now they got the Cinema matchups, and shocker, our hometown boys number 1 on the list. They got they're sitting Stafford against Denver. I mean,
he drives me insane.
It's really, really frustrating. I mean, you know what? He's got a good skill set, but he just makes some very, very terrible decisions. I mean, I don't know how else to put it politely, but with his skill set and what they've got around him, this team should not be 0-2. Minnesota just flat out outworked them in every facet of the game last week. It was really, really tough to watch. The San Diego game might have been the beginning. That second half might have been the beginning of the end of their season, to be honest with you.
Now, do either of you two have Lions on your team? Because I've gone with the philosophy since I started fantasy. Right around the time, maybe 3-4 years ago, I just said, you know what? It's not worth it to count on any of the Lions to do anything for you. It's too inconsistent. I mean, Calvin, okay, you understand that. But to have Lions on your team, I think is just too risky. So I'm never going to be Lions free watching them. But fantasy-wise, toxic.
So what I'll do a lot of times is I'll try to fill out maybe my defense or maybe my kicker as a Lion just to kind of get my Lions fix in. I'm not to a point where I'm going to say that I'd never draft one because their value's value. I'm not just going to pass over him just because he's a Lion if there's nobody better there. That being said, Stafford is a guy that in my main league, I don't think I have any Lions on my team in my main league. In some of my other leagues, I do. I've drafted Abdullah.
Yeah,
because I want the guy to do good, and I want him. I want to be able to cheer for him.
Plus, he looked pretty good in the preseason. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Stafford, I had Stafford a few years ago in my keeper league, but I got lucky. I thought and got Colin Kaepernick off the heap at the end of the year, and he was going to cost me next to nothing to keep. So I kept him instead. He went out, and I've just had very, very unfortunate luck at the quarterback position. I went out and got Ryan Tannehill and Carson Palmer this year, and Tannehill goes up against Washington in the week 1 and lays that stinker. I'm like, what is this? Where's this guy with all the weapons? He's got Jarvis Landry, Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller drives me nuts.
Sure.
Like I don't understand the logic behind him being like this heralded back that he is. So
yeah, no, I hear you, man. I think in 8-team leagues, I'm a lot more comfortable having Matt Stafford in like an 8-team league because chances are he's your backup.
Yeah.
But in anything more than that, if you're in a situation where you have to start Stafford this week, although like I said before we started,
we were talking about this.
Nobody thinks they're going to win this week.
Yeah,
they're going to win this week.
It's going to be one of those things like where the universe is saying that everybody's against you, so they're going to come out and have like this ridiculous game. I'm still I'm leery, but I would sort of agree with you because every time that you like count them out, they find a way to supersede their expectations. So
No, this week though, fantasy wise, logic does not dictate that the Lions are going to do really anything. I mean, Stafford is a super high risk in my opinion because he could be one hit away from being knocked out of the game.
Sure.
Denver has great corners. Their defense is great. I don't see Abdullah.
Their D line's gonna freaking have a field day on him. Unfortunately,
They got to do something.
I mean, the one guy who has a chance, I think, is going to be Abdullah. Maybe he breaks off a run here and there, but I don't see any consistency with the Lions this week. So I would sit most of the Lions this week for sure. Versus Denver,
I don't understand this obsession with Joik Bell. Like I don't know why we keep going back to Joik. Like great story, great person.
like, hometown kid. Yeah,
Totally
I get it.
cheering for the guy. Did you hear the story about how he used to work at Ford Field?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard that story.
Yeah, we've all
I love
heard
the
it.
guy. But you know what? Enough. He looks like a guy that hasn't played all preseason. He looks like a guy that he had a nice catch in the Minnesota game. But let's use Abdullah. Why are the Lions the only team that if you've got your best players, put your best players on the field? They're one of the few teams that I watch that just refuse to put their best players on the field.
Yeah, you know what? Joik has been a lot more serviceable up until this year, I would think, than some of the running backs that they've had in there. He's always had the ball control issues. He loses fumbles here and there. Said Abdul is younger. His cuts are amazing. I like the way he runs and the way he moves. So I personally would be starting him as well. But Lombardi's been just calling, like, his games have been atrocious. We were watching the San Diego game, and I don't remember who I was talking to. I think I was talking to my dad. They started out on fire against San Diego, and then all of a sudden they get conservative. It's the same thing that happened in the playoff games against Dallas. They come out guns blazing, trick play, bomb to Calvin. They get up, and then they take the brakes off. When you've got the caliber of players that they do on this offense, you put your foot on the gas and just roll with it. Whatever it is, it is. Like you said, Stafford actually looks more. He doesn't look like a guy that he can play from behind. I don't think him getting down in some of the situations is going to be. It's not good for his mentality.
And what are they saying right now? The Lions, one of 4 teams in the NFL that haven't completed a pass over 20 yards.
horrible.
With Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
How do you not complete a pass over 20 yards? Come on, man.
And the thing with that is, I think the offense is way too reliant on allowing what the defense is doing to dictate to them how they're running their offense. I think that, you know what, you instill your will, run a deep play, and if it's picked off, then it is. Keep it going. Yep. You're going to have to break down that defense. And for fantasy, if you're going to get Stafford and Calvin and Tate getting going, come on now. You can't have Ebron be the guy that leads your team in fantasy numbers. It's not right. No. It's not right. It should be Calvin and Tate.
He's a great athlete, but I mean, yeah, like I said, you need your horses to be out there, and they need to be producing at the level that they're expected to be producing.
Absolutely. So start him, sit him, man.
All right.
So I'm looking at this sheet of yours here.
All right.
And that guy at the bottom there, I like that guy.
Do you?
I do. I like Isaiah Crowell. I don't know what it is about the Browns they're pretty much a hot mess, right?
Yeah,
but
with the whole Manziel
situation.
situation. Yeah.
Something about Isaiah Crowell, man. I feel like he's their goal line back. I feel like he's good for like a touchdown a game. And there's not many backs that you can punch in and say you're definitely going to get a touchdown a game. So if you got him, he's a running back too. Fill him in, man. I think that's a good start this week, especially against the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders, they're young, they're on the road. I could deal with that play if that's one of your options there. So
yeah, RB2 flex, you can do a lot worse.
Yeah, a flex, absolutely. I see a lot of people now in these flex leagues going to 3 receiver sets. What are you guys' thoughts on that? You have to have 3 studs if you're going to go out and start a receiver in the 3rd spot. I'm so much more comfortable with running backs. I know the league's pass heavy, but I'd be a lot more comfortable starting a running back over, like, say, who's a good like RB, like a wide receiver, like in the 30s that you can think of.
I don't know. I mean, I think you're talking about like Allen Henderson, maybe.
Yeah, Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson, or like
who had a freaking. That game scared me. I'm rolling in my one league, absolutely rolling, and I look, and Allen Robinson has 15 points in the first like 5 minutes. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, on my bench this week.
Oh,
my bench.
and in your main one?
Oh, I was going to ask that too. I was going to ask that too, guys that you've sat that have big games on your bench.
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Cam Newton. I started Luck because I thought Luck was going to bounce back, and Cam went bonkers. So, like you said,
Did it by placing your guys on the bench and not starting them, and they got big points? Did that cost you the victory?
Oh, I mean, for sure. I mean, this week. I mean, I had on my bench this past week. I had Allen Robinson and Matt Jones.
Oh,
now, mind you,
well, you're not gonna,
mind you.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I can't.
Is
kick
it a
myself
flex
too.
or no?
Yeah, it was a flex.
Who'd you start your flex? Just out of curiosity.
Last week I started. Let me look real quick. My flex last week was Danny Woodhead.
Oh, that's not bad. I can't fault you there. Yeah, no. But I mean, with the quarterback situation and like I said, Deshaun being out, Deshaun's killing me. I got him in a couple leagues. I'm expecting this game tonight to be a little low scoring, and I expect Washington to keep doing what they're doing and running the ball because I mean they've been running it really, really well.
Yeah.
Jordan Reed's somebody who I would look to be starting because seems to be like their best pass catcher. So it's like if you got him at tight end, I would sort of plug him into almost any of your formats.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I need Matt Jones right now to be Jeremy Hill of 2014. That's what I need him to do. I need him to push Alfred Morris, and I really feel like they're right there. Like I think if Matt Jones could have one more big game
like that
would be enough to kind of supplant Alfred Morris and move him into that kind of role that I really need him to be for me this season.
Yeah, Jeremy Hill sort of killed me last week. I seen that performance because he's a guy in my keeper league last year. I got him. It's an auction league, so I picked him up, and because I knew Giovanni was a good running back, but I knew that he wasn't going to be a goal line back. He's not built to be that. And then when he went down and Hill just started rolling, I'm like, I hit the jackpot. I got him and I drafted Odell. So it's like, I mean, I hit the jackpot last year and I still started out 0-7.
Yeah. That's the beauty of fantasy.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see what else we got in the RB. Oh, they got your boy Danny Woodhead against the Vikings. I don't know what it is. Melvin's look good, but they seem to want to use him more in the goal line situations, which is really surprising.
Yeah, Woodhead and Sproles to me are like very similar players.
Yeah.
And they're always within the top 20 in our league, just constantly in running backs, just because of their pass catching ability. And they both have noses for the end zone. Every year I don't get Danny Woodhead, I'm like, damn it, I need to get Danny Woodhead. Like, why don't I have a guy like that on my team?
Is your league is your main league a PPR league then or what?
Yes, sir,
okay, yeah. Then him and Sproles are like locks. Well, Sproles was a lock until I don't know what that Philly situation is just absolutely just like destroying me, man.
Of course, is that Joique Bell on the set-em list? For sure. And Giovanni Bernard?
Yeah, I told you. Well, Giovanni, they're playing Baltimore, and he's never just. I'm a big Baltimore fan as well, so it's like he's never played very well against them. But Joique's just, you can't, like I said, unfortunately, right now, until the Lions show me something, you can't trust anybody right now on the Lions. I mean, maybe Abdullah. Like you said, I think he's the lone bright spot right now. Yeah. He's young, the moves, the speed, catch the ball.
You know, if I didn't have Gronk, I would be strongly considering Ebron. The lone bright spot I feel these last 2 weeks has been Eric Ebron. I feel like he's played a lot better. He's done a lot more of what we need him to do. So that's encouraging to me. That's a silver lining of these last 2 weeks, I think.
Well, you know what? With the way the Lions have gone in the draft, and they've gone out and gotten these super athletes. Like Ziggy has just been like a really godsend because with the way that the line sort of got like picked apart this year, I mean, he played really well last year, and he seems to be continuing that. So it's like if the Lions are doing some decent things in the draft, hopefully Ebron can continue his maturation process and keep it going. So, Paco, you want to start us off with the stardoms for the wide receivers? Or are you just going to keep on your phone there, man?
No, I'm looking through my matchups. I got both my matchups this week for week 3 super tight. It's going to come down to a couple of things. So later on in the show, I got to definitely pick your guys' brain and make sure I'm a 1-point favorite in one league and only a 3-point favorite in another. So it's going to come down to both leagues. Both leagues I'm in might come down to maybe a decision I make at wide receiver or at tight end in the flex spot. So. Interesting stuff. But at wide receiver, the first start is DeAndre Hopkins. I like him a lot. Jarvis Landry, Sammy Watkins. Good stuff.
See, now I got DeAndre and Jarvis on my one league, and I got super lucky because I played against Luck and Gore last week, and that Monday night game, I was like, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, dude, I should be dead to rights. Like I was down, I was only up like 20 with those guys going. I thought like game over. I'm like, I won, and I won by like 15. I'm like, this is amazing. I just absolutely floored with the performance that Indy put on last week.
Yeah, anything bad that could have happened to Frank Gore happened that night.
Yeah, the touchdown. I mean, how many runs did he get called back for holding? The touchdown.
Brutal.
He coughed up 2 balls. It's like scary.
Brutal.
Now, with a guy like Jarvis Landry, who we've all kind of expected now in his rookie season to kind of do some damage, do you start him confidently against a Buffalo defense with Rex Ryan? Now, that's an interesting matchup, knowing that Rex Ryan is a guy that can scheme to shut down, a weapon. And Jarvis Landry is one of the weapons there in Miami. So if you shut him down, you can kind of do some things. Is he a safe start still?
Well,
in a flex spot? He's in my flex spot in both leagues.
Well, let's see something. I want to say that Miami is at home. And if Miami's at home, Miami is at home. I'm going to start him then because Miami's been on the road the last 2 weeks. I think you get home in the friendly confines, and it makes a huge difference. So he had a really, really underrated season just because all of those rookies last year had such huge years. Odell, Mike Evans, they all had blow up years. But Jarvis had a pretty stellar, pretty good year
he was a target monster.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, in a PPR league, he's their number one. I go with him. I'd probably be starting him.
See, I'm hesitant because you think a guy like Mike Wallace would go there to Miami and blow it up in fantasy. He died. Like he went to Miami and died.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Mike Wallace though as a player anyway.
He was a great deep threat a couple years ago.
Yeah. You know why? Because he was Ben Roethlisberger's security blanket, and then Antonio Brown took over, filling in, and that was it. He wanted all that money. He wanted to go home. He wanted to go to Florida, but that just was like it looks like it's going to be a career ender. I mean,
he's a product of the system. So
yeah.
I mean, Mike Wallace is. I don't think you can compare really. Jarvis Landry is a completely different player, and I really think Tannehill is going to be solid at home. I would definitely start him flex. I'd love to start him flex.
Yeah. Come on, man. They really think Allen's going to go off back-to-back weeks? 2 weeks in a row?
Allen Robinson versus New England. You would start him?
I am starting him.
Are you?
But I'm thin. So that doesn't.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a different story. Yeah.
But I mean, he's still a number one wide receiver, and I don't know. I feel like Blake Bortles gets kind of a bad rap sometimes.
I think the whole Jacksonville team does. I mean, they've looked pretty good in their first 2 games. What did they lose by to? They lost Carolina. They lost 20-9 to Carolina in week 1. Okay, that's not bad. Then they come out and beat Miami at home. So I mean, I guess I'd feel a little more confident about starting him then. But they're going to New England.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to consider T.J. Yeldon is a solid back.
Yeah,
so he's gonna protect that run game, make sure it opens up for Blake Bortles. No Julius Thomas still, right?
Yeah, I think he's out for at least the first month.
Yeah, so I think this is a situation where who else is he going to throw it?
Yeah,
he's Robinson.
Yeah, and we seen that with the performance that he put on last week. So look at this. This is pretty interesting, but it goes back again to Drew Brees being questionable for this week. They got Brandon Cooks as the number 1 sit-em on the NFL list.
That'll be tough for a lot of people because he's a number 1 wide receiver for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of guys had a lot of high expectations on him. I know that personally in our league, I want to say he went like early 3rd round in our league, which I thought. I mean, Drew Brees, he always does what he does. So, but now. Who I don't even know who their backup quarterback is down in New Orleans.
It's Luke McCown, right?
Is it really?
Yeah, he's in all those commercials. He's in all those Verizon commercials. It's Luke McCown.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, I really think he's probably gonna end up starting this week. So that New Orleans situation just looks like a disaster. One good thing that could come out of that though, Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram should get fed the ball quite a bit. Fortunately, I have him on that team with Landry and Hopkins. So
nice,
dude. It looks like it could be a pretty good week if I wasn't going up against Manning and DT. Oh. Demaryius has not had a touchdown yet in 2 games, and he looked a little rough. The whole offense looked rough in that game against Kansas City until Kubiak took the reins off.
Yeah.
So We'll see how that all works out. Oh man, look, we even brought them up. They are really down. Well, the NFL is really down on the Lions this week.
Once your quarterback has a rib injury and he's one play away from going down, you're going to have most of them being sit 'em. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, I got a start 'em sit 'em question from our league. I got Alfred Morris tonight against the Giants, or potentially I picked up James Starks home against Kansas City.
Oof. What's the latest on Lacey?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, on the ESPN projections, they got Starks to have 11 points, and Alfred Morris on the road versus the Giants is only projected to get 8. Should I pull the trigger right now?
You guys see, that's tough. You're in a really tough spot because if you start Starks and Lacey somehow plays, well, you're basically screwed. So it's like. But once again, with the way Matt Jones played last week, what did Alfred? Alfred still had a decent day, just didn't have any touches. What he had, I don't know.
They both had really good games. Yeah, they had a lot of yards.
They had a lot of yards. So it's like you're going to get some yards. I don't know how your whole touchdown situation is going to work out. Now, if you wait and gamble and see what's going on with Lacey, you might get lucky in Starks because Green Bay's at home. Green Bay at home.
Yeah, but KC's got solid defense. They usually put up a good game. They try to slow the game down.
Yeah, they do. But, I mean, look what they did last week. I mean, they did a really good job against the running game, but that was because...
So what would you do, Morris or James Starks? And Meringue's probably listening to this going, damn it, he's trying to get advice right now.
I'm gonna probably go ahead and start Alfred just because he seems like a safer bet. They're going to run the ball. Cousins has had issues with his turnovers and... his decision-making still not up there yet. I would lead towards Morris.
If I knew right now that Eddie Lacy was not going to play on Sunday, I would start Starks.
Damn you, NFL. These Thursday games are a killer.
Yep.
Yeah. This is not what I need. I don't need the stress because if I lose by that, I'm coming for you guys.
Is that your only options, too, at that point?
Yeah.
That's you're in a really bad spot, dude, because... Like you said, everybody's going to start Starks if Lacey's out. I mean, he had to have been one of the most picked up running backs.
Yeah, my other option is McFadden, so I'm not going to start him.
No, you don't want to do that at all.
No.
Well, let's move on to the tight ends. Martellus, man, I dropped Martellus in my keeper league. I really thought that he was going to sort of hit the schneid this year. He's been on the stardom list the last 3 weeks,
and this week he's the start of the week according to the NFL.
They got him number 1 against Seattle. Even with Cam coming back, Seattle's gonna play lights out. I wouldn't be started. I mean, I've got Alshon Jeffrey on my one team, and I know he's still questionable, but I'm not even thinking about playing him this week.
No.
Matt Forte is going to have a really rough go against that box. They're going to stack the box against him. They're going to put Jimmy Clausen under whole bunches of pressure. I'm not starting any Chicago Bear this week.
As bad as Jay Cutler is, Jimmy Clausen is worse.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Look at we talked about this before. My boy Heath Miller.
Nice.
The Rams.
Well, the reason why they got him is it says that the Seattle Seahawks are giving up on average 14 fantasy points to opposing tight ends on average, and that says an average of more than 14 fantasy points per game
this season. That's 2 games.
Yeah,
two games isn't a big enough sample size to really make those kind of bold assumptions. If you look at last year and then you add in these 2 weeks, then you can start making some better you can make some better guesses off of that. But like you said, the quarterback situation, you said it. Clausen's not.
Yeah, but when you got a quarterback who hasn't played a lot, what's your security blanket? Usually it's the run game. Obviously, Forte is going to probably do some damage, maybe, but you would go with a tight end.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that's a decent start. But I don't have him in any league, but I kind of agree. I agree with it.
Look at Paco. Paco dropping some knowledge on us. When does that happen?
I know he's all. I don't know anything about fantasy before he gets on the.
Well, I don't know anything about fantasy in terms of putting together a lineup. It's the bench that kills me. I don't know how to
You draft
make the
best
proper
available.
Yeah, I know that, but it's sometimes knowing which guy to put in. Like right now, I'm weighing heavily. Jimmy Graham's coming out early going, I'm not getting enough targets. And I got Kelsey on the bench.
Start him.
Start Graham this week?
Graham is going to get 2 touchdowns. That is my bold prediction this week. Jimmy Graham has a monster day. You don't sit there and complain that your best receiver isn't getting the ball. He's going to get 2 touchdowns, and he's probably going to have about 90 yards. That's my lock of the week for if I wanted to start anybody.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I hope so. With Russell Wilson in my league, I could use a couple multi-touchdown games here.
Yeah, Russell's had a little bit of a rough go as well. I mean,
look at the teams they've played though.
Yeah,
Green Bay at home, he's not going to have it. And he had an okay game, against Green Bay.
Yeah.
And then that first game was just brutal though. I don't know.
What was it? St. Louis go? They win at home, and then they go to Washington, and Washington just basically manhandled them.
Yeah.
I mean, their St. Louis's defensive line is great too. So the fact that they got ran over the way they did, I was just completely like, my dad put a 2-teamer together. He took took St. Louis -3 and the Dolphins -3. Look how that worked out. Those games look like those numbers. I would probably bet on them too. I mean, those look like pretty like soft picks there, but once again, the NFL turning us on our heads.
It's an up-down league, right?
Oh, it is. Another guy sneaking on the list. This guy is, I think he's going to end up being probably, by the end of the year, like number 3 tight end. It looks like Tyler Eifert against Baltimore. I don't know. He's healthy. He's obviously one of Dalton's favorite targets. Man, 3 touchdowns, 2 games. He's got, over 200 some yards? I guess he's looking right now like a must start every week at that position.
Yeah, he's studly. I like him. I would take him and start him with confidence every week.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Reed's another one. Jordan Reed's been, like you said, with Deshaun being out, he's big, physical. He can run pretty well. He's a guy that I would look to be starting every week as well. So, and then look at this, Owen Daniels. Owen Daniels made the sit-em list. Shocker.
Someone thinking that the Lions defense might stand up a little bit this week?
Well, you know what? I don't know I don't know what's going on in there, but they haven't really been looking to the tight end too much. So, I mean, but I guess you can't blame them. They've got Sanders. Sanders is like a third down like conversion machine. He's had 10 catches in both of these games so far, 3 touchdowns. I mean, yeah, I can totally agree with seeing why they would be putting Owen Daniels on the sit-em side of the list. So
yeah, the Sanders. That's another situation where a quarterback just locks in on a guy and just forces the ball to them and makes it happen. It's a beautiful fantasy thing, that's for sure.
What else are we going to talk about, boys? Here,
I definitely want to bring up something because it happened in Jason's station league, and that's the kind of your overall attitude regarding when you vote on a trade. Oh. I'm of the policy that whatever trade is made, I veto it when it comes down to a vote. Oh. And here's why I do that.
Once again, it's because you're shady.
You're the worst.
I am the worst. And here's what happened according to Jason's league and looking at it.
You're a tick.
So
you're a tick.
What happened in this state? No, it's not. It's not in my league. Not in my league. So what happened in the league was Dennis Farrell, who is host of the Fantasy Sideline Show. He started off rough the first week. So give me a second here. I will look to tell you the trade and tell you what happened in the station league over there with Jason.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually got a late night text from Jason about this.
See, it was very interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he texted me about it, and he said, "What do you think of this trade?" And he listed off the players, and I was like, I don't know. Seems like an okay trade. And he's like, well, don't you think this team got way better than the other team? And I said, I guess.
See, that's the problem. Unfortunately, everybody they don't take it on merit. They look at what the situation is of the team. If they just base it off of merit, a lot more trades would go through than not. But unfortunately, everybody's worried because of money involved, pride, whatever it may be, that one team's going to make out and it's going to make the other team a lot better than they are currently sitting. So,
do you guys ever veto trades?
It depends. I try not to if it looks like it's fair. Now, if it's something dumb like unfortunately, my dad last year traded Steve Smith away for a defense, and I unfortunately totally missed like the veto window on that. But it's like you don't trade Steve Smith away for a defense. I don't care.
But what I see, so I'm of the opinion that I don't play in a league where you're allowed to veto.
Okay.
I think it's Bush to veto. Like if you're gonna hustle and you're gonna work another guy and you're gonna get over on another guy, good for you, man.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
In my opinion, honestly, like and John said it right. When you veto, you don't care about the trade. You're mad you didn't make it.
Yeah.
So you're just being a hater. Like, don't be a hater. That guy hustled. That guy made the phone call. That guy worked it.
Okay, so here's a trade. Latavius Murray, Nelson Aguilar, and Des Bryant for Marshawn Lynch and T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, but this was week what?
Week 2. It was after week 1, going into week 2.
Going into week 2, right? So Dez was Dez already dead?
Yeah.
Yes, Des was done.
Okay.
Shady as hell, dude.
It's not a good trade?
I think there is.
Exactly. The trade got vetoed. This is a station league that Jason's in with the guys that he works with at the station.
Yeah, Dez is not going to, basically, you're going to have to wait on him for the playoffs. Nelson Aguilar is, like you said, unfortunately, Philly's in a rough spot. Jordan Matthews has been really the lone bright spot in that whole situation. He's had 2 games of a round. He had 100 yards, and then he had 80 and a touch last week. So the fact that they put, and Latavius Murray, he's a bright spot. He could be one of those boomer bust guys. So, but to give up Marshawn and who else?
T.Y. Hilton.
Hell no, man.
Yeah, so that's why I got vetoed quick. I felt like it was an unfair trade, knowing that Dennis is he's the guy that's the expert there at the station, along with Jason. And so the guys are like, okay, he made a trade with Ryan Armani, and they got together and put together this trade. And so the guys are like, hell no, they vetoed it. I'm like, for sure, I would have vetoed that in 3 seconds. I wouldn't let that go through. Let it play out.
Haters. You're all haters.
You would have let that go through?
I play in, like I said, I play in leagues where I don't
There's
have
no veto?
I don't have the veto power. So
Okay, I have a question. Then in that league, has there ever been a trade that you noticed was questionable, that you might have said maybe these guys are kind of, working together or something, collusion?
So there have been trades where I've been like, damn, you got worked over, but never to an extent of
collusion.
No.
Okay,
No.
so everything on the up and up. See, I would be on the side of, hey, it's shady. Look a little bit to work with a friend. Hey, give me this, give me that. Hey, it happens.
The leagues that I play in, and my main league, it's about winning.
Yeah, it's about winning.
I don't
exactly.
know. I don't know anybody that would collude with somebody because they want to win. They want to win now. They don't want to win, next year or whatever deal they made. It's not about the money in that league because it's not that much money.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about winning now and being able to do that. And sure, there's been plenty of trades where I've been, and most of the time, if I get right down to it, it's like, damn, I wish I had figured out something to get that guy.
Yeah, to pull it off. So
yeah, if I had known that would have done the deal. Well, shit, I would have done something better too, like that. But
so, what's the art of making a good trade? Like, do you look at your needs versus like projections? Like, how do you put together a trade where your league is not going like, hey, you're fucking around here?
Well, I'm in really, really bad shape in our league right now, and I'm looking to move one of my running backs because I need a wide receiver. Now, I've got a ton of depth. Like you said, I've got Jeremy Hill. I've got who do I have? But
You're a tick.
Is that what we're doing? You're so shady, dude. You let somebody else draft for you, and then you want to pull that card. All right, here's this team. I've got Jonathan Stewart, Carlos Hyde, Jeremy Hill, Tevin Coleman, and Doug Martin. Those are all the running backs I have. Now, my wide receiver, I have T.Y. Hilton, Jarvis Landry, and James Jones. So I'm in rough shape. I need a wide receiver bad.
Sure.
T.Y.'s a little banged up. Dante Moncrief has been absolutely huge. He's actually like the number 8, like in the top 10 in receivers for the scoring wise in the NFL. I'm looking to move one of my running backs, and I don't really care who, but if I move somebody like Hyde or a Jeremy Hill, I'm looking to get something in value. Now, who am I going to make a trade with in our league there where I can pull something off like that? I don't really see anybody wanting to move one of their receivers because how do you do in your league? We start 3 receivers in our league.
we only start 2.
Okay. Is it 2 and then a flex?
Yeah, for the longest time, we started 3 wide receivers. And let me tell you, it's a tough league. That's a tough road to hoe.
Yeah.
You got to fill 3 starting wide receiver spots. But so no, I feel your pain, man. That's tough.
Yeah. So,
but then if you were to make a trade, you'd look at like how many points they're projected to have for the year or last year, or just need for need.
It's need for need right now. I need good value. Like I said, I'd be willing to move one of my guys, but I need some value at wide receiver.
What I've seen in our league now, people are actually using the message board to say, "Hey, I got a wide receiver," and they use the message board to actually announce, "Hey, I've got an extra quarterback. I'm in need of this," and it's kind of facilitated some action, knowing that, "Hey, I need this," and you can let put it in the message board that you need that.
You know what? That's actually a good idea because I mean, like I said, I'm basically in bad shape. If I don't do something this week, my dad's team looks pretty solid. I'm playing my dad this week, and you don't want to lose to your dad.
No, that seems...
you never want to lose. You don't want to lose, but you never want to lose to your family.
No, never. No, I feel like one of the biggest hurdles to overcome when you're trading with people is people overvaluing players and not recognizing that in order for a trade to work, there's got to be a positive in there for both teams. Like, you can't just raid your bench and expect to get starters, you know? You've got to be able to see value for value. And I also feel like a lot of times there's got to be open communication. If in your league, if it's working on message boards and stuff like that, then great, then do that. I find that a lot of times, you know, it'll be texts with other owners and stuff like that. And it's just like, it'd be like negotiating the price for your car. You start somewhere and you work from there. And at some point, I tell you what closes the deal more than anything is if you're doing stuff like on text and on message boards and stuff like that. And if the other owner is waffling, send it to them. Send the trade to them officially, where all they have to do is click a button and it's done. And a lot of times
they're going to do it.
That's enough to do it, to actually see it and to actually do it. It's like, I feel like that's one of the strongest ways to close a deal. Like, I'm waffling, I don't know if I want to do it. Boom, send it. And then it's like,
it pushes them over the edge.
Do you recall a trade that you pulled off that was like, yes, I really helped you to advance your team or do something, do some damage? What was the trade?
Last year, it's the reason I won the championship last year. I had Calvin and Joik. It was early in the season. Calvin was hurt. Joik wasn't doing much of anything.
You moved them fast,
but he was solid. It was like week 3 or 4.
Okay,
and
good for you.
I knew that I needed to. It killed me moving those guys as a Lions fan, but took off the Lions goggles and stuff, looked at teams, and I worked out a deal. I realized that there were just a couple wide receivers. If I'm going to move Calvin, I'm only going to move him for Dez, AJ Green, maybe Brown. Odell Beckham, but not then, Antonio Brown. So I worked with the Dez owner. We talked, and he was in a good place where he had a couple wins under his belt. He was in a better place than I was. And I said, look, I'll trade you Calvin and Joik, and you give me Dez and just somebody on your team. And he was like, all right. And then he listed off some guys. He's like, just pick one. And I was like, well, I'll do this Jeremy Hill guy. I'm like, he seems.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he seems. At least he's a running back. At least maybe something will happen to Giovanni. Like, we'll see. And that was it. That was my championship right there.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
You hit the jackpot. Like you said, you obviously ran a little better than I did because I had Jeremy Hill and Beckham in my starting lineup, but I started out 0-7. So you had to have had a little better help filling in all those roles.
I had Gronk last year too.
Oh God, yeah,
that's a championship team right there. Wow,
right. But my quarterbacks, garbage. They were garbage last year. I could not string together a good run of quarterbacks.
Standard scoring 4-6.
So our league is really bizarre. We have this very strange scoring. So we've been together now for 15, 16 years.
Okay.
And when we first got together, we set the scoring system really low. So everything is like incremental and in like points.
Okay.
So like last week, let's see, I lost last week 67.3 to 81.7.
Okay.
So it's just all relative though. Like it's if you look at things, the scoring is the same. It's just everything's deflated in my league. So instead of like scoring in the hundreds, we're scoring in the
a big week's like 85.
Right. If you get to like if you're scoring in the 80s, chances are you're probably going to be winning. And then we have guys that sometimes have weeks that get up into the 90s, but not often. So it's hard. It's hard to answer that question.
Okay.
But it's a PPR. It's we give points for every 10 yards, but it's all incremental. It's really weird.
Okay.
Phil, you make a decent trade that you remember that would just help you?
Well, I helped somebody out with the hopes that it would pay off. I shipped DeMarco last year, and I got Alfred Morris, and I gave up DeMarco, and I got Alfred Morris and a wide receiver, and it ended up I won the toilet bowl. That was about it. I broke even for the year, which is we don't want to break even. We want to win, but it's better than taking a loss. So
let me ask you this. So Chris, who's usually here, right? He is, and we've established that he is Trader Chris. I think he's won 3 of our championships of the time. And he trades more than anybody. So he just made his first trade of the season last week. Let me ask what you guys think. He traded away Arian Foster and Todd Gurley, 2 guys who have not played yet this season, for Demaryius Thomas and Doug Martin.
You found a sucker. There's a sucker born every minute. Wow.
Yeah, somebody.
I would never trade that. Wow.
The fact that somebody gave up DT for, I mean, there's a ton of upside to both of those guys.
Sure.
When they come back, but you give.
I would veto that.
You give up DT right now for that. I mean, you know what? I couldn't, because when Foster comes back, he's going to be the number 1. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a stud because it's what he does. He just can't stay healthy.
Now, I want to bring up something, too, in terms of trades and things like that. Now, you can argue back and forth the validity and things like that, but you guys are in a league. I know it's low, not a lot of money, but do you think that the trades would be killed in your league if you just added like $1 or $2 a trade? Would that like kill a league or kill trades, or you think something that you could maybe implement in the future?
If you can't pay $1 or $2 for a transaction, I'm a cheap ass. So in my one league, I don't do it. I refuse to make pickups because
for me, I don't make too many trades. I'm a waiver wire guy. I like to drop and add.
Mm-hmm.
I don't make too many trades to help my team because I don't think anybody would trade with me anyway. They just want me to lose.
Well, no, you're shady because you probably would put some bullshit ass trade together instead of making a legitimate offer. So.
Exactly. So you think in your league you would ever implement some money for some trades?
I don't know. Probably not.
Okay.
To me, anything that would hinder trading, I wouldn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want guys doing that. I think that's fun. I think guys changing hands, that's a good thing. Let me tell you another guy. So real quick. So we had Demaryius Thomas get traded in this league, which I think is a direct result of
the way they've been playing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So he caught an owner who's probably a little afraid of how things are going. Another guy that got traded in my league this year, this week, Drew Brees. Same thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean it absolutely makes sense. I would be a little leery of those situations, but whoever your buddy that caught Demaryius, he caught him at the right time. Like you said, Demaryius is going to go off. Things are going to change in Denver. They're not going to be run first. It's going to be pass, and then they'll work the run in to give everybody a little bit of a break.
So now Jason did consult with you regarding the trade, and he's not here, so we can talk about him. Did he push that veto button and vote no, or did he
I don't know. I didn't hear.
Okay.
I told him.
We'll find out next week.
Yeah, sounds good. No, I told him my opinion again was, don't be a hater, man.
Let it go through.
If Dennis hustled and got over on Armani, then I guess Armani needs to do more homework, man. Like, do your homework.
Before we end this thing, what are you guys' projections this week? Are you likely to win? I am projected to potentially go 1-1. I'm going to lose in one league by 1. I don't know. Jason Meringue always does great things against me, where whatever I do, if I score 100, he'll score 105. So I got a bad feeling Jason's going to have one of those weeks where all his guys go off, and my guys might do okay, but I might not do as well. But I'm going to hold out hope that I'm going to win. And then this week I'm playing my wife, where I'm like projected to do pretty decent, so I'm okay in that front. So I'm sitting pretty going into the week. I'm going to either be 2-1 in either league, or I'll be 1-2. So we'll see.
I'm projected to be 2-2 as it looks, but the one league that I'm 2-0 in, I've been an underdog every week, and I've won both weeks. I had a huge week. I was a leading scorer. Like it's a 4-point per touchdown, passing touchdown league, and I put up 135, which is just a freaking monster game. It's also individual defensive player league, but I'm 2-0 in that league. I'm 2-0 in the league with Kurt. I got in a league with Kurt. That's in our league, but I'm projected to lose in that league and then win in the Kurt's league. So I have the possibilities of looking at 2-1 in 3 leagues and then 0-3. Yeah,
0-3.
I'm totally screwed in our league, and it sucks. There's only one thing I want. I just want to beat you now. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go 1-2 according to projections, but you know what? Those projections are so wrong.
Yeah.
They're so. Yeah, we
talked about. Like I said, should you use projections? And Phil was like, no, you shouldn't really do that. But
I think you should consider them, but they're not the end all be all. No, there's no way that you gotta. There's better things to make your decision.
So right now in the league that you've been in for 16 years, you're 0-2.
I'm 0-2 right now.
Just like Jason is.
Yeah, defending champs. It's tough. Everyone, I got my target on my back right this year. Yeah. Everybody wants to beat the champ. They always
got
get
the bow and arrow.
So who are you playing this week in your league?
Oh, that's a good. Oh, I'm playing against Joe. Joe is, and again, a Le'Veon Bell owner. He is 2-0 right now. He is really poised to really kick my ass this week.
And who's Jason? And who's Jason playing?
Jason has. Let me see.
I would be really, really scared of Le'Veon Bell this week. That just sounds like a
Jason. The Smokies, owned by Jason Jarvie, are going up against the Crawdads of Corey Hinks. Corey was the guy that acquired Drew Brees this week.
So potentially 2/3 of the hosts of the Fantasy Nerds could be 0-3.
It's extremely possible. It's extremely possible.
Good stuff, man. You guys have been good. We broke down stardom situms. We talked about trades. Good podcast, man. Good stuff, guys. Man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate this, man. I just, it's nice to get out here and talk a little bit, throw some ideas around. Plus, you get to, get some other perspectives on things. You go back and look at I'm going to go back and make some adjustments on my teams from just some of the things that we threw around here. So,
yeah, man. Hey, fantasy football, it's love.
Another episode of Fantasy Nerds. Come back next week.
If you play fantasy football and you let somebody else draft your team, why are you even bothering partaking in this great institution is the question I ask you.
You're a dick.
Manning retired. Which one? Both.
I like kickers.